How would someone actually define playing fair in life? See, ever since we were young, we've been poisoned mentally, psychologically, emotionally by these games of people who are strangely unsuiting of that which they speak of. But haven't you noticed there is a trend? The more unsuited people are to the words that they speak, the more they seem to support them, right? You always get to see those people who they do harm to themselves, but they give you tips and pieces of advice on how to do something. And some of these people actually present their own path as the only possible way. And then you ask yourself, well, you've become a ruin in your life. Why would I want to follow your example? These kinds of weak people, mentally and emotionally, are people who gave up all their hope. They gave up their inner child. They gave up anything about life and simply went on with the dance of the masses, where they gave up on any possible hope, dream, identity, even. And they end up just living like an amoeba in the flow of society. They don't want to have any identity or anything. They just hide from everything as if being human would be a shame or something like that. And it's these weaklings who end up thinking that they have to survive. It is deeply encrusted in each and every one of us that we must survive. But the point is, the more idiotic someone becomes, the more they entrench themselves in illusions that their survival is at stake. One should never forget that survival is not only survival of the physical body, it is survival of the self, it is survival at the social level, and it is survival of the physical body as well. These three layers are highly important because some people excel or focus a lot on a certain part. Many people focus a lot on the survival of the self. When someone is lost in this kind of energy, in this kind of memory, their whole sense of reality becomes shattered because survival of the self means you're supporting something which is nothing else but the opinions, thoughts, emotions that you have taken from others. Remember that when you were born, when you were a child, you didn't have any kind of insecurity, or you didn't have any kind of problems or attachments. You acquired those in time from people around you, from kindergarten, parents, events that happened in life, and maybe you misinterpreted because you are probably too young to comprehend them at a larger scale, or you simply overreacted to something. Things be said, these kinds of people who tell you to play fair, usually they are weaklings, and these weaklings, they only focus on their own survival. Their own survival in most situations is only the survival of the self. Don't forget that these people who give up their emotions, their identity even, and everything that would make them actually human, they just live like a virus in a society. They literally have the awareness of a virus, infect others with their own misery, and the point is simple as that. Be a virus, infect others with your misery, and also replicate, right? How do they replicate? By winning a free space in your mind, right? By winning, a place where they pay no rent, right? They are gonna be in your mind because they're gonna simply assault you with all sorts of useless words, points of view, and idiocies specifically designed that they win a place in your mind because they don't matter at all to themselves, so at least they virus and poison your mind, so at least they can survive through you, right? This is what vampires do. They make you think of them so much that you literally feed them your energy. And how will they use their energy? Well, reinventing their reality on and on again, right? And these people who are focused on their mental survival, right? The survival of a psychological construct that is not even theirs. Well, in that case, there is literally no stability. That is why you see all of these bozos nowadays supporting all sorts of phantasmagorical things that don't have any tangency with the reality that we all know. Remember that these people have minimized themselves in life so much that they don't have any awareness. Literally, they have the awareness of a virus. Infect others and replicate. Replicate by planting thoughts in other people's minds. Even narcissists do that at times. These people also lack any emotional awareness because emotion to them is bad. It reminds them of being human, and they don't want to be human anymore because they associate everything humanly with pain. That's why there are schools of psychopathy in this life, which teach such people how to be even more against humans, how to hate humanity even more, because ultimately that is what they are. They chronically hate life, they chronically hate themselves, everything about life. So technically, they are nothing else but an impulse to destroy, to dismantle everything that would represent stability within others, because stability means reattachment to them, right? You've noticed those people who always call you narcissistic or who always label you in some way, shape, or form if you have a certain conviction. Or it doesn't have to be a conviction, it has to be a belief. And especially if it does not align to their line of beliefs, then they will label you even more aggressively, right? These people are the ones who, in times, throughout the thousands of years that humanity has lived in ignorance, these people, aka the masses, they have ended up, through their ignorance, electing some leaders whom they don't even know, and well, just like them, the leaders don't care about themselves, so they don't care about the masses that they rule over. They are just impulses as well. Look in the Middle Ages, look in antiquity. If someone would say something bad, they would simply be killed, or disposed of, or thrown out of society. Because everyone in ignorance is nothing else but an impulse, right? Or a set of impulses. That is why so many people have self destructive behaviors, because those are impulses that they are slave to, right? So these people invent morals, right? It is their poison that they impose to simply govern over the strong, over those who actually don't mind being a human, don't mind actually having emotions and feeling them, who don't mind pouring their emotion into something creative, while these others only exist just because creation exists and they would simply destroy it. Just look in the world how many of these people have reached political power and power beyond corporations and the such. Their only purpose is to exterminate people's lives, to exterminate everything they have sacred, everything that they have built, right? Wars are created because of this. And then only when power is seized entirely do people start talking about morality. But they don't talk about the natural morality that we have been born with. They talk about the morality of their own, because don't forget that they are supporting what humans call an ego, or they are supporting the survival of their mental state, right? Of the emotions and thoughts, opinions that were planted in their minds or that they took from others, right? And in such a situation, when you rely so much on the mind does not have any stability, any integrity, because the mind is only an instrument of survival of the body. That is the bigger problem. Because people think that survival of the self is different. Well, it can be different because survival of the body, if you are in tune with your body will tell you how to survive. If you are connected enough with your body, you go fishing, you don't need to learn how to build a rod. You will improvise something and you will fish something. You will get a fish you probably never seen before. And your body will tell you what exactly to eat out of it. That is because all the survival techniques and information of your ancestors is deeply encrusted within you. Do you think your ancestors in the, Ice Age, do you think they actually read any books on how to actually do that? They knew that because their survival was at stake. They didn't have time to distract themselves like we humans have been doing in the medieval times just because comfort was much better. The more comfort you will have in your life, the more you will tend to procrastinate, to spend time overthinking things as a means to defend yourself from the pains of the past. These people, these weaklings, end up creating all sorts of laws. And those laws are only made for the fools who obey those. Who are those fools? Well, the majority. Those who have given up on their hope. Because they don't want anyone else to survive. If you look in the animal kingdom, crabs also have a similar perspective, right? If one of the crabs, there was a story about a fisherman who would gather crabs with a bucket that had no bottom, right? And any crab that was thinking it got caught by the bucket, they would simply give up instantly, and they would simply hang in there. And any other crab that got caught and wanted to escape, they would simply be caught by those who were hanging by the bucket, right? And well, the nets that were around the bucket, or whatever the principle of the fishing he used. And any of the crabs that got caught, they instantly caught another one that wanted to escape, and that would give up instantly. And that's how the men managed to fish so many crab, right? These people, these weaklings, are also called crab people by some people because they have the same mindset, right? They give up instantly in the face of pain, and they want everyone else to act the same because it is, in a way, a sense of empathy. They want to help the others, but the only way they know in life is by giving up on their whole humanity, right? So it is very weird to put into words because it goes much deeper and it can, branch out in so many ways. But these people, these weaklings, are the ones who invent your morals of nowadays, right? When you look nowadays, what do you have? You have a society that simply supports these weaklings. You're no longer allowed to tell the stupid one that they're stupid, the idiot that they're an idiot, that person that they're bad in a certain set of beliefs, or this and that. And also, we've got so many NGOs teaching people that, this whole idea of mindlessness, right? Of being a slave of your mind is the only way in life. It is the only way in life for weaklings because the mind doesn't have any structure, nor do they have any structure. That is why many people don't fall for the tricks of the mind because they have a certain structure, they have a set of morals within themselves. People who are weak and gave up on their whole humanity, they don't have any sense of fairness, so they invent their own fairness where their weakness is acclaimed, where their weakness is the rule, where their weakness is the law, right? And anyone not abiding to that has to be punished, right? These are the kinds of people whom you should stay away from, and whom societies should make sure they don't breach a certain level, because once that safety level is breached, those idiots will crumble your society in time. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness, because once those fools reach a certain level of power, they will impose their own ideas, and they will only talk about morals once they have secured their power. But such people who lack empathy, who lack emotions, who lack anything, whom do you think they will promote? Do you think they will promote the natural ideas of humanity? Or do you think they will promote some weird morals as you are seeing today? This remains for everyone to answer. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life. This being said, Ferenc Jan Bor signing out.